So today my guest is Brandon Hawkins. He is the Chief Revenue Officer at CFO Hub, which has been recognized as one of America's fastest growing private companies. And now they have multiple locations throughout the USA. Brandon, welcome. And would you share a bit about your background and how your current role fits in the bigger picture at CFO Hub?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Interestingly enough, I'm not a traditional accountant by trade. I'm a banker. I started my career in traditional middle market banking and finance. And so I was a lender. I did banking underwriting, credit analysis, both from manufacturers, distributors, and wholesalers for lines of credit and permanent working capital, and some of their real estate loans, whether those were SBA loans or traditional commercial banking loans. And so that banking background has really helped us here because we're able to truly understand, our clients' finance journeys, not just from an accounting perspective, but from a growth trajectory.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what does a typical day look like for you?
It's been an interesting a journey of days. I mean, in the beginning, it started out from making coffee, getting coffee, making copies, cold calling, and then running out to locations and actually being the fractional bookkeeper or controller or CFO in a location. In today's environment, it is leading a team of sales professionals across the country who are providing opportunities for our now 90 controllers and CFOs across the country, looking for strategic opportunities for us to grow the business into different markets, different geographies, both domestically and foreign. So it's been real fun. It's fun. Yeah.
All right. Can you walk us through how CFO Hub got started and what that growth journey has looked like over the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, we were really fortunate. Jack Perkins was our founder, and he's like my big little brother. So Jack Perkins and Mark started, about 7 years ago, and they are ex-PwC accounting nerds, I say affectionately.
Okay.
And so it was a tax firm. We were just doing, it was J. Perkins and Associates, just doing taxes for principals of middle market companies. And it was around that time that we realized that there just was a dearth of accounting talent on a fractional basis for companies that were early growth, high growth. And so we decided to pivot from just the tax practice to the more fractional consultative approach. And so together, the three of us, literally, I would cold call a company that had a posting for a need for a controller. Jack or Mark would put on a backpack, go out to the location and be the controller as this company grew. Ultimately, we got enough clients where we could hire folks, and today now we have about 90 W-2 employees across the country from a controller, a bookkeeper, or CFO perspective that we can deploy on an interim, a project basis, or a full-time basis.
That's awesome. So you've been there pretty much from the start of the startup of it? Okay.
Yeah, it was three guys in an office suite.
Love it.
So, yeah, it's interesting now that we've grown to what we say like a real company in terms of size and scale, that we miss, some of the days when we had to be really scrappy and it was just the three of us.
Right, right. Well, on a more personal level, understand that coaching young people in football is one of your great passions.
Absolutely.
How have you bridged your coaching skills over into the workplace to impact the teams you lead now?
That's a great question. Thank you for that. It's that's really cool. Thank you very much for knowing that. It's I think so often I say this and I'm kind of a victim of it. Some people, a job isn't necessarily who you are, right? It's what you do to go make a bunch of money, hopefully to go do what you love. But there are some of us who are just kind of built for this. And so if you're a good, effective sales leader, a big part of your job is coaching. You shouldn't be telling your sales team, go do this, hit your numbers or else. You should be finding ways that they can then maximize their best skill set to bring our playbook, so to speak, out to the market to help our client base. And so coaching high school football, which is something that I've done now for about 20 years, and I love it. I don't know if I'm awesome at it. I think I'm pretty good at it, but I love doing it. And so the translation from coaching young people and helping them do things that they didn't think they could do and then watching them actually do it and having successes, being able to do that internally with a sales team and to tell them, hey, you can go out to the world, you can find these growing businesses, you can talk to them about the importance of accounting from a compliance perspective, from a scale, from an ability to sell perspective, and really put in policies, procedures, efficiencies, best practices that don't just help the business owner when she exits and gets $1 billion in her exit. It also helps the shop clerk and the mail guy. Being able to show that from a coaching perspective on the football field, and then show it here from an accounting perspective in my sales team is really awesome. I get pretty excited about it, and I think it translates to my sales team because they're pretty happy. They no one's ever quit. I take tremendous pride in the fact that no one's ever left the team.
That is amazing. And I'm sure I'm sure your contributions are appreciated both at your workplace and also on the field for those kids you're influencing, helping them to grow.
It is pretty cool because there's a handful of them who play professional football now, and they're much bigger than I am and tougher. And when I see them, they still yell and say, "Hey, coach," and give me a hug. And I just think it's real cool.
That is really cool. Yes. All right. Well, today we are discussing the hidden costs of being a generalist. So, Brandon, why don't we start off with how you would define a generalist in relation to your industry and what major shifts you're seeing right now?
I think the hidden cost of there's a benefit of being a generalist, right? Is you get lots of shots and opportunities to see a lot of good things. Some of the hidden costs, though, are missed opportunities of not necessarily knowing some of the niches or some of the nuances that businesses face. And I think one of the things that our business and other businesses are missing are some of the smaller businesses. I think so many of us are in such a rush to go up market to help businesses scale that we're missing a lot of the basic blocking and tackling that a lot of our startups or pre-revenues are really desirous of, whether that's basic chart of accounts, setting that up appropriately and having the infrastructure right. I think people miss that because they run so fast to the funding round. So I think being a generalist is great because you're able to set that up, but having specificity in various software or various verticals is really helpful as you bring that out to the marketplace. And that's something that we try to do with the various verticals that we serve.
Yes. And I love the concept of offering fractional services, which you mentioned. I think it's game-changing to small and medium-sized businesses that can't afford that full-time in-house CFO or controller. I know when my husband and I had our plumbing and heating business, I was the in-house marketer and customer service manager and controller all in one. And thankfully, I did have some financial background, but it was still too much to do everything. And so I feel for the business owners out there, that they're good at what they do, but they just don't know where to turn to get that extra help so that they can be successful and enjoy what they love doing.
And that's what I hear the most is that, the thing I hear more times than not from CEOs, whether you're a startup or you're well over 100 million in revenue, is I don't know what I don't know. And I think there's often a fear from the CEO seat, he or she they're afraid of making these mistakes or their blind spots. And sometimes they're even afraid to ask. And so to the extent that we can, we want to make them comfortable with kind of opening up and saying, hey, I don't know. Okay, you know what? We know. We've done this a bunch of times. We've made a bunch of mistakes, and we're going to share it with you so that you don't have to.
Yeah, and that's what they need. How would you say that the role of a fractional CFO has evolved in the last 10 years, and how has this impacted your business and its growth strategy?
I'll tell you, I think that the single biggest evolution has been, in the past, you were able to take somebody's documents and their spreadsheets, their receipts as an example, and then turn back to them a product. Here's your stuff, here's your month-end close. Thank you, goodbye. And that was enough. In today's environment, if you're not providing advice, true advice, then you're out of the game. And when I say true advice means on the front end, listening to your client and hearing them tell you that they have a growth trajectory, a growth strategy, an idea around how they want to burn or spend their cash. And then when they give you their data, making sure that those things marry up appropriately and being able to say, hey, you told me that you wanted to do this, but I'm looking at your data and it says this. Can we talk through this to make sure you get where you really want to go? That you have to do today. In the past, you could have just said, here's your numbers, goodbye. You can't do that today and expect to really maintain your clients and to do good service by your clients.
That's so true. And I see that early stage startups often default to generalists out of necessity. From a CFO perspective, when does that model start breaking down?
I think that model starts breaking down as you start to raise funds and start to generate revenue. When you really start to look at that in the beginning stages, I don't think people should to self-fear. I don't think you should say, oh my gosh, if you don't use this tactical CFO or this strategic bookkeeper right away, you're going to die. I don't think that's the appropriate way to look at it. Having said that, when you're building, you have to build with the end in mind. And so the earlier you can bring somebody in who has specific vertical experience, the better. As many of us know internally, accounting nerds, we know accounting errors are cumulative. So earlier the better. Again, if your infrastructure is set up appropriately, I think you're okay. But once you start generating revenue, you really have to be on top of that. So as soon as the cash register opens, you have to be ready.
Okay. What are the most common hidden costs you see when a company relies too heavily on generalist talent, whether that's in sales leadership, marketing, or revenue ops?
Certainly on the rev ops side, I think the mishiring. I think in any position, it's the mishires more than anything. I think systems you can fix. There are very few systems that you can buy today, whether they're accounting software, Xero, QBO, or Sage, or their CRMs, HubSpot or Salesforce or others. HubSpot, I think, is the best one. I think those things can almost dummy-proof your life, almost set it and forget it. I think it's about personnel and getting the right person in the right seat. The wrong person in your RevOps is a killer. Unfortunately. And so I think it's better to go slow and pick the right person who's going to lead the charge in your biz dev. And I think you should pay them appropriately. I've made that mistake a few times.
Right.
So I think there's one hidden cost. I also think it's very important that you spend a little bit of time on the front end speaking with your bookkeeper, controller, or CFO, because I think as much as I'd love to say ours are the best and the brightest, and I think they are, I think there's value in making sure that you're speaking with a good human that you can actually communicate with in the beginning stages, because there's going to be a lot of back and forth. And entrepreneurs, especially in the startup phase, they need a lot of hand-holding because they don't know what they don't know, and they want to be able to call somebody that they can talk to.
Right.
And so I think the hidden cost is you go cheap. I go with the cheapest person who can do my QuickBooks right away and reconcile, and I'll just go with that. And I think you want to just lean heavy into expertise.
That's so true. And to not just rely on them fully and not be making sure they're doing the best job that they could be doing. Absolutely. What competitive advantages do fractional CFOs and controllers provide to businesses?
I think there are two immediate ones, and I think these are the ones that business owners that key in right away, and we've been the beneficiaries of them. One, cost savings. Right immediately, there's no HR load. So if you look at the cost of an employee is 25% just in medical and dental and vision and PTO and things of that nature. So that's gone right away. So there's a savings there. The other thing that you lose the tribal knowledge of somebody who knows where the water cooler is and who's been to your company Christmas party or holiday parties over the years in the barbecue. But generally, when you get a fractional, you're going to gain somebody who has seen your business multiple times, multiple iterations. So you're going to get an expertise uptick generally, depending upon the firm. And I would say ours especially, but others included. You're going to get an expertise uptick. And those are the two reasons that you should do it. You're going to get a great knowledge base at a cheaper price.
Right. So for CFO Hub then, what's working well for you now and what's been frustrating or challenging?
What's working well is our COO, Mark Jacob, is just a magician in terms of how we've hired our consultants. We've been concerned about what's going to look like when we get past 100, because once you get over 100 consultants, you might hire faster, we might lose some culture. But what's working is we hire really good people with great backgrounds. We do some testing to make sure that their accounting chops are real. We find a lot of times in the business that people with the CFO title are more controllers, and while controllers can really do most of the work, if you're a CFO, we want you to be a real CFO. So, what's working for us is making sure that we're screening the right types of human beings, good, solid human beings who have the good, solid morals, values, energy, and chops to do it. What's a challenge is there's a lot of unicorn. I mean, there are not very many unicorns out there, so finding them is a challenge.
Right.
Another challenge, quite honestly, and this is directly on my shoulders, is the adaptation of AI in today's environment, and that is AI beyond workflow automation, like actually front facing. I'm an old guy with a beard and used to have wavy curly hair. And so a lot of our business was started based on relationships and cold calling and going to events and shaking hands. And now with pay-per-click and SEO and LinkedIn and some of these other things, AI is a big part of that. And I want to make sure that we don't miss that train, like the MySpace and some of the other things. So,
Right. So,
my VCR still blinks 12 o'clock, so I have some work.
so what would you say is working for you then in the AI integrations that you're doing in the business?
So far from the one thing that is working, and it's just on the automation side, which is managing our outreach to our existing clients and also our funnel management. Like, not everybody who visits our website, who has a conversation with myself or one of our salespeople becomes a client. But we're able to nurture them and keep in touch with them in a way that's not salesy. We're giving a lot of information internally. I like to call it free game. Like, here, you might take this and go somewhere else and use it. Good for you. Like, if it helps you, good for you. So I think being very empathetic in our approach is a word we use very much internally. Overlaying empathy in everything we do to help our clients and prospects first, that has really hockey sticked our revenue. It's awesome. It's been very awesome for us.
Awesome. Which metrics are you most focused on improving then?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say conversion. There's a very specific one, a lead indicator for us, which is our deeper dive calls. Our sales cycle is a discovery call. Let's get to know each other. Deeper dive is to really get into the weeds and understand your accounting and also demonstrate our skill set. Generally speaking, after that call, you become a client. And so there's a metrics there where I'd like to get that client number higher for one. Mm-hmm. And then the secondary piece is, although we do a lot of project-based work, so you would expect churn would be normal, I'd like to have a lower churn. I'd like for people to come here, have us do a project for them, and then have another project. So those are two numbers that are on all the time.
Awesome. So more just that retention of customers long term.
Are hard to find, and the good ones are really hard, and we like them a lot. So I want them to stay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I want to give them something so they stay.
Where they stay, absolutely. Where do you want to be 6 or 12 months from now?
Bali, working on my team.
Perfect.
6 to 12 months from now, I'd like to see us at, plus 100 employees. I'd like to add at least one more salesperson in the market, preferably in the Tampa, St. Pete, maybe Miami area, somewhere in Florida. I'm intrigued with what's going on there in Florida. I would like to see us make the Inc. 5000 list one more time, which would be our 5th year in a row. That would be awesome.
I just want to say congratulations for that, because that is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're super proud of that one. And then and I'd like to see at least almost double the positive Google reviews. We're really heavy on that. We really love when our clients say good things about us, so we want to see more of that.
Absolutely.
We want to earn more of that. We got to earn that.
Those Google reviews go a long way for getting new customers. Yeah,
it really
trusting.
While we're sleeping, people are reading those things and they're reaching out to us, and that's awesome. That's really good for us.
Yeah. So if you could solve one major challenge today, what would it be?
Why doesn't everybody in America know who we are?
That's the goal, right?
Yeah, that would be one. I mean, quite honestly, though, the other challenge is I wish accounting cleanup for people could be made somehow really easy, preferably somehow with some sort of AI overlay, because it is the most painful and the most expensive thing for businesses when they come to me, and it's horrible when I have to explain it to them. And then generally that's why they go away, because they think somebody else is going to tell them something different and do it cheaper, and it's just not. So if there was some way that they could just get that cleaned up, and then come to us and we could just help them, it would be better for them.
Yeah. Save a lot of money for them too, for sure.
Accounting errors are cumulative, and
Yeah.
you can't just hit zero.
No. All right. Do you think that the issue of AI integration is something that's challenging right across accounting and finance firms, or do you think most have already implemented stuff into their processes?
I think it's a challenge. I spend a lot of time talking to senior leadership at firms like mine across the country, not only in the fractional space, but also CPA firms across the country. And the one thing that we've all come to realize is, one, on the sales and biz dev side, if you're not using that front end right now to sort out who's an appropriate prospect for you and get them into your funnel, and who's not, and get them out of your funnel, you're wasting a lot of time, missing some opportunities. On the other side of that, managing your in-house clients from a bookkeeping perspective, bank recs, credit card recs, those things can be done very easily from an AI perspective. I personally believe, and many others believe, that what we saw with bookkeeping getting moved to Kosovo and Pakistan, India, Philippines over the last few years, that stuff's going to be AI. You will see controllerships moving overseas over the next few years. I think CFO work is going to stay in country in the various countries, but that other stuff will get AI'd out over a very short period of time. And if I could find a way on a 40% basis to do bank recs and credit card recs completely on an AI basis with a very high level of accuracy and certainty, I would do it.
Absolutely.
Do it. And I'm working to it. I'm working on that now, and there are a few other firms I know that are. But I don't think anybody is truly doing it just yet. He or she who does it is gonna be really winning fast.
Absolutely. In closing, what advice would you give to business leaders to capitalize on these changing trends and upcoming opportunities in your industry?
Go now. Especially now as an older dude, and spending a lot of time around younger people. Go now. We talk to some of the largest firms and a lot of these PE firms in the space, and they say, like, as they ideate things, if they wait till they're 50% short, other firms are already gone. So if you really believe, go now, you have opportunities and time, especially if you're younger and you're younger in your business cycle, to make mistakes and recover. So go now. Take chances, reasonable chances, certainly. We say internally at CFO Hub when we're working on something, when in doubt, send it out. If it's, if we're a little nervous, go for it. And so that's it. Go for it. Now's the time.
Solid advice. Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and share your insights. I wish you all the best with taking CFO to the next level, whichever countries you're going to be going into. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. And if anyone watching would like to connect, how would they best reach out to you?
Really easy to find. You can find me on our website at cfohub.com. You can find me at bhawkins at CFO Hub from an email perspective, and certainly linkedin.com, Brandon Hawkins, or just / I get things done, and I will show up. So I'm easy to find.
I get things done. I love that. Thank you so much, Brandon. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.